You hit like a 500-foot home run
Yeah.
to left field, and we came back to beat Rivera in the bottom of the ninth inning.
It was just one of those special games that had a lot of great players, Hall of Famers.
Grand Slam against Clemens. Was that at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, that was in Yankee Stadium.
You couldn't tell the bat from the ball?
Well, I thought that he was going to come in off the plate. I didn't know he was going to try to kill me, but I'm still alive.
Tell the people what Ted Williams meant to your career, how he came and saw you in the batting cage.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who has appreciation for excellence in hitting would not know who Ted Williams is. But like I said, he's always been a hero, and he was in the area doing a card show, and my dad, through some scouts, knew him, and he came over to my house. It was just amazing. I mean, it's crazy.
Jay Horowitz, the latest edition with amazing conversations with Mr. Mike Piazza, who I've known now, for 20...
Too long. Too many years.
Too many years.
90. Well, I knew you before 98.
98.
But I mean, we knew each other before
the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So the first time we met, Mike, I got to tell you a story again. I almost got fired. I wanted to impress Mike Piazza, trainer from the Marlins. He's running late. I had him picked up in a limo at LaGuardia Airport. And I got into such trouble the next day. The limo was all over the news. What are you picking players up in limos for? I said, listen, I wanted to roll out the red carpet. Thankfully, it worked. Thankfully,
no good deed goes unpunished.
No deed gets punished.
But
Mike, I want to look
funny.
at 2028, the Olympics in L.A. There's been a lot of work with the Italian national team. Hopeful to get a team there, to qualify for the Olympics. One of your goals?
Yeah, I think it would be great. And it's going to be difficult for us. I mean, we have to qualify. So there's going to be one team come out of Europe. And out of all teams in Europe now, I mean, England, which has a very up-and-coming program, and Israel, which is a very good program. So, I mean, Israel is in the European qualification bracket. So, and they always get some good players. I mean, they have obviously a tradition of
Are you
Jewish
trying to
ball.
recruit now still? I mean, you're recruiting.
So yeah, I mean, listen, well, that tournament's different because they have to have Italian passports. Right. The World Baseball Classic, you technically have to qualify for an Italian passport, and obviously the two are different. But yeah, to play for the Olympics, you have to be an Italian citizen, and we have to do a lot of research, and we have to do a lot of documentation. Certification, a lot of notary and things like that, and then it's still a little bit of a process. And they've made it a lot more difficult in recent years because you have to actually take an Italian test where they have to talk to you. So you have to be a little proficient in Italian. So it's getting more difficult, and the more the generations are removed, it's a little more difficult. With that said, a lot of guys, you know as well as anyone. I mean, Italian Americans have a certain amount of pride and still really love our heritage, and so there's kids that really are trying to qualify, and we're always doing the work to try to get them.
Yeah, we had a conversation, but we made me feel old. Your oldest daughter, Nicoletta, applied for college, 17 years old. That's crazy.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, and
Three kids, Marco,
I started. She was the only child. She's 17, and she's the only child that actually saw me play. She was 1 year old. That was my last year in Oakland. But yeah, I mean, it's to think about. It's been almost that many years since I retired. The time is going, but no, it's been an incredible journey, and she's a great kid. I mean, it's easy to brag about your own kids, but she's a great kid, and she's working hard, and so.
We've been in college tour now.
Yeah, I've been around. I don't want to say any colleges because I don't want to jinx it, but no, there are probably some schools that people would know about. We were in Boston yesterday, which is a really great college town. We're Philly, obviously. There's great schools there, and even in New York, she's looking at a full.
I went to NYU. The only way I got to NYU, my uncle Murray was on the board of directors.
It's always good to have connections.
And my SATs were awful. They were absolutely awful.
That's a hard test.
It was a hard test.
But I believe there's a spiritual component to it. I told her, I said, listen, you're going to end up where you're supposed to be. You just have to kind of make a choice and live life with no rearview mirror. I mean, she's a great kid, and look, I mean, there's so many great schools out there. I mean, so I think she's going to make the right decision.
Like, how many times are you back to the States? I mean, in Palmer. You're thinking of moving now?
Well, it's changing now. You know, our kids are getting older.
Right.
My long-term plan is to spend half the year here and half the year in Italy, because the summers in Europe are great. I mean, you're 2 hours away from everything. You're 2 hours away from
do a lot
Greece.
of traveling.
Yeah, we like it. In Europe, you can go to Greece, you can go to Spain, you go to England. I golf in Scotland every year. I go to Ireland. I have friends in Germany. I mean, it's such a great place to live, and much like the United States, I love coming back here. I live in Miami. I love Florida in the winter. I love to play golf and just enjoy life. We're still in the car business in Philly, so you know, I come back for business, but it's really fluid. I mean, I don't really have a schedule. I mean, I come back when needed and just enjoy. Like
May
I
your
said,
father, Vince, rest in peace. When
Thank
I
you.
was the PR
Thank you, man.
guys, anytime he needed a car for player,
Yeah.
hey Vince, I got a problem. Vince was always there for me.
I know.
When his veal parmesan sandwiches.
He did. We brought it. And cheesesteaks every time we were in Philly, and now they make them in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
But he actually started that trend. I think the clubhouse guy in Philly said, "Well, we should start making them here." But yeah, he loved baseball, and you know, he loved you, and he loved the Mets, and I said something when he passed away of how much I thank the fans and the media, and he was always so happy around the ballpark, and everyone treated him so well. So that was, to me, my fondest memory of him.
Mike, I would talk the year 1990, 25th anniversary. One of the things that comes to mind is, you know, it's the Subway Series game. They call it now the Matt Franco game.
Yeah, that's okay.
But in that game, you hit like a 500-foot home run to left field, and we came back to beat Rivera in the bottom of the ninth inning. It's one of the great all-time games.
Great game. No, it was awesome. I mean, yeah, I still think about that game how much. We had obviously an up-and-coming team, and the Yankees were already established as a great team. So I think these games are better when, of course, both teams are competitive. We always, I mean, look, we always probably publicly say no, but there's always a rivalry there.
Yeah, there's got to be.
There's a fight for the domination of the city, and we were up and coming, and it was just one of those special games. It had a lot of great players, Hall of Famers. You know, Rivera, the closer, and some great role players, guys that really chipped in. As you said, Matt Franco, a great pinch hit. And if you look at it again, you know, it's funny. People talk to me, well, why did Mo walk you, or you know, Rivera walk you? And I said, well, statistically, he actually had more success against left-handed hitters.
Right.
So if you looked at it from a book move, it probably made sense. And I was swinging the bat pretty well. So I think it worked out. You
were great against the Yankees, including in 2000. You know, over 300 batting average, 11 home runs, a lot of RBIs. You kind of rose to those occasions. Huh?
I love those games, and I love playing in Yankee Stadium. You know, I mean, as a kid, as a fan, you playing in Yankee Stadium aside from a World Series was exciting. The fact that when the obviously the Subway Series started with interleague play was something that was special for me, but. I just enjoyed it. I mean, I think as a player, if you can't get up for a series like that, then you have a problem. You should be doing something else.
Where's the Grand Slam against Clemens? Was that at Yankee Stadium?
That was in Yankee Stadium, and I forget the actual date. But yeah, I mean, I had a home run against him too.
Right.
I think the year before, it might have been '99. I think it was '98. I was actually just 2 for 2 off him in Toronto. Yeah. I think he was pitching for Toronto there too. So
it's kind of
one of those weird things. I just always
it's kind of understandable, you know, in the history. That's probably why he couldn't tell the bat from the ball.
Well, you know, I mean, sooner or later, you know, I thought that he was going to come in off the plate. I didn't know he was going to try to kill me, but I'm still alive.
You know,
I'm still kicking.
We had a lot of went through a lot together. You and I. You never dodged. I remember. I was trying to calm you down after you told you like you thought after that time. I don't know what it, but you always.
Yeah, no, I think I mean I've talked about that ad nauseum, and it's still something that makes people that are interested in. So I mean, I talk about it just to kind of, now that I get more away from it, I should say. I'm just more grateful. Number one, that I was okay, and number two, that the fans really supported me. You know, 100%. And many great comments, and even till this day. So. That's it. An interesting part of the history of this event of the Subway Series.
So Game 5, 2000 World Series. Benny gets a walk. We're losing by 2 runs. When you hit the ball to center field, and do you think it was out?
I mean, I couldn't have hit the ball much better.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
It
it was
just died.
that was one of those Shea moments.
Yeah.
I think it was getting a little cooler, and I didn't quite get under the ball in the way I'd liked. But I mean, the irony is that anytime you get a great swing off Mariano Rivera, you should be happy.
I thought for sure it was gone.
It is what it is, but I think it was just one of those things. And I was talking with Todd Zeal this morning. It was just there's so many things. Unfortunately, we made. When you make mistakes against the Yankees, they capitalize.
Yeah.
And obviously the Timo Perez.
Run, please, dear God.
Yeah,
run.
and of course the first game where we walked O'Neill.
Yeah.
We were up by 1 run with 0-2 count with 1 run in the 9th inning. You make mistakes. Would you give the Yankees, a team that's quality like that, a chance to beat you? They're going to beat you.
Truth about 99 All-Star game in Boston. You met Ted Williams in their card. Tell the people what Ted Williams meant to your career, how he came and saw you in the batting cage, gave you a good pep talk that you could do something in this game.
Yeah, I don't think anybody who has appreciation for excellence in hitting would not know who Ted Williams is. And I think the fact that he represents so much more to a generation. I mean, World War II veteran, fought in the Korean War, lost years of his career to service, probably would have ended up well over 700 home runs if he had not taken years out to serve our country, fighter or decorated war, flew with John Glenn. So I think he's so much more of a figure, but on the hitting side, he's a person who really took hitting to the deepest
and
cerebral.
came to your backyard, right to your batting cage.
Absolutely, and he just, like I said, has always been a hero. And he was in the area doing a card show, and my dad, through some scouts, knew him, and he came over to my house. He was like, because a friend of his said, he's got a buddy who's got a kid who's a good hitter, and he said, let's go see him hit. It was just amazing. I mean, it's crazy, and the fact that people
video the other day,
and people enjoy it. I mean, that's what I tell people. I mean, I had a very interesting crooked path to the major leagues with a lot of people in my corner helping out, and the figure like that is obviously a highlight of my life, let alone my career.
Two of the things for 69. What do you remember about the game when Bobby V gets thrown out against Toronto, and he comes back with a mustache on?
Yeah, that was my call. I mean, I was I forget who was pitching, but it was catcher's interference.
Yes,
I think what is it, Mahomes pitching? I'm not sure. But the point is, he had a high leg kick, so I saw the runner going, so I actually ran out to try to cut the ball off, and the umpire said it was catcher's interference. So when people talk about him doing the disguise, that was, I think in this day and age, maybe the era of managers with huge personalities is no longer as prominent.
No question, 100%.
And I think they added to the allure of the teams, Joe Torre and obviously Bobby,
too, and
Tommy Lasorda, Whitey Herzog. I mean, Dick Williams, obviously Jim, who's going in the Hall of Fame, Leland, yeah. So these managers had larger than life personalities, and there's some very good managers out there, but not in that era, with those type of guys.
Yeah, we had Terry Collins was kind of in the same milk.
Yeah, in that same era. I mean, managers were meant to be in that time more like out in the front and bigger personalities.
So one of your became one of your better friends, Al Leiter, your first day with the Mets. 3-0 shutout against Milwaukee. You catch, and in '99 in the playoff game against Cincinnati, 2-hitter.
Yeah,
we go there and great game.
One of the greatest games I think in the history of the organization.
Yeah, no
one of the
question.
greatest games pitched under the circumstances. I mean, obviously one hit, right?
Yeah.
Shutout, which complete game, which there's not a lot of complete games anymore. And I mean, look, that and the Bobby Jones game. I mean, I was talking the other day about the Bobby Jones game, which was incredible. Struck out Bonds twice in a playoff game against the Giants, who had an incredible team. So it was.
Speaking of Giants, I was watching the World Series the other day, and Jeff Kent's son, Caden, plays for Texas A&M.
Amazing.
And it hits a bomb. Remember the robbery we had with them,
Great player too, so I'm sure his kid is probably good.
That's my research. You didn't start the Robin Ventura Grand Slam single game, right? I think you did start, but you came out.
I did, yeah. No, I think that was the game where Melvin Mora made the good play.
Yes,
and I actually made a good play at the plate. Yeah, and then I think then eventually, I just ran out of gas.
if you were in the game, you probably wouldn't run into Ventura when he hit the home run.
Yeah, like Pratt did.
Yeah, like Pratt
no,
did.
I would have scored. He would have been the grand slam, not the grand slam
You know what,
single.
though? In retrospect, he's probably got more publicity with that.
Pretty much. I mean, it probably was a unique moment. I still think that people find it so amusing. At least we won.
Yes.
If a mistake was caused. And it's funny you say that. I actually, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know when I was a kid, I think Tim McCarver did not get a grand slam because he passed the runner at first base when he was with the Phillies.
Yeah, I think you're
So can you imagine going from a grand slam home run to an offer? That would have been nice.
Pratt blamed it on Robin. He said most of Robin's home runs are towering shots. This is a line drive. So he thought he was going to hit the wall. So that's what
I guess the good thing is it wasn't regular season. So,
Yes.
I mean, but still, it was pretty crazy.
So another big year for '99. After the year's over, you signed your contract, right? After the '99 season.
After 98.
After
Yeah, 98 was the first
Right.
year, yeah.
Talk about. I know you don't want to speak for Alonso, but he's in kind of a similar situation with you, all-star home run hitter.
Yeah.
At the climax of his trying to make a decision, to leave, not to stay. I mean, how tough is it for a young guy in this market to make a decision like that?
I mean, it's probably going to be the decision of his life. I mean, because it's a big decision. I mean, I'm sure he's proven he could be a very solid run producer, consistent. He's capable of carrying a team when he's hot. And I think all of those things come into it. I mean, it's not easy to play. It's hard enough to play baseball without sort of off the field distractions, and especially the question of a contract. But look, at the end of the day, you have to do your job on the field. And I've said many times, he has a right to try to get what he thinks he deserves, and a team has a right to want to get a return on investment. I mean, I've been on both sides now in a little sense, so I get both sides. And I hope that both sides can come to an agreement. But at the end of the day, it's not your decision. It's not my. It's something that has to come together. But I wish him the best. And look, I'm partial to New York. I think he's going to have more opportunities here if he continues to put up numbers and win a World Series here eventually. So, but that's his decision, and I wish him the best.
And you didn't have it easy. I mean, they booed you pretty a lot in the early years. I mean,
yeah,
it was up in the air a little bit as you could sign, not sign. It wasn't like a jump ball that you would come back.
Well, and I think the one thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that I think I'm one of the few players that was not brought up through the organization, who was embraced by the fans as like I was one of their own. So I don't think a lot of guys have kind of done that. I mean, obviously David Wright's a Met, Doc and Strahl were Mets. Most of the players who were honored, came up through the organization. So for me to come in from LA, which was market number 2, to come to market number 1 and have the career here is something I'm most grateful for and most proud of.
This is really a stupid question. You're in Italy half the year, right? How do you keep up what goes on with the time difference? Do you have your own? I mean,
just on social media. My wife is like, "You're on your iPad." I mean, I just read the news in the morning. So when I'm getting up, everyone here is going to bed.
Go to bed.
So it's 6-hour difference. So I'm actually seeing some of the games on the West Coast that are ending when I'm just getting up. So, I mean, it's like, everything now is on the internet, so you can find any news, and obviously like that. It's not as hard.
What have you seen our young catcher, Francisco Alvarez, and all?
I saw him come up last year, and I knew he was hurt.
Yeah.
I think he's a great-looking kid. He's strong. Obviously, he has power. Personally, I want to see him a little more disciplined. Plate, I think that's a kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? Characteristic of this era.
Right.
A lot more free swingers, guys that are trying to elevate the ball more than I think he could. I've always believed in being a good hitter first and a power hitter second. Of course, that philosophy is probably not prominent today, but his most important job is to catch and catch the staff. Hitting is a plus, and he can hit, so it's a bonus. But I think he should really concentrate on controlling the staff, blocking balls, catching well, obviously throwing when needed, but catching a good game, because pitchers, I found, especially at this level, do not like it when hitters or catchers are obsessed with their hitting and not really. So it's a defensive position first, regardless of what he can contribute with the bat, and he will contribute with the bat.
Mike, what acted you have with Willie Mays through the years? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it's a big loss for baseball, but I think it should be celebrated. I think it should be, instead of being sad, we should be happy that he was here, that he was an incredible, probably, I mean, top 3 players of all time, but probably the #1 most rounded player of all time as far as all the tools that we expect. But he always had a smile on his face. He always looked like he was having fun in an era that wasn't easy, obviously, for black ball players. But you could never tell by looking at him. He was not bitter. He played with a smile on his face, made arguably the greatest catch in the history of the game, was over 600 home runs. Yeah, I mean, what else can you say? I think it's a sad loss, but I think we should definitely, and it's good to see everyone celebrating him.
Mike, you see, you're able to follow the Mets. We're playing better lately. We got the Yankees coming up in July. So you're able to keep track what goes on. And
yeah, I mean, I think I was in London. It was good. They started playing better since London after that second game with
how about the last play of the game?
It was awesome. Yeah, and then Darren Fletcher's. I mean, everyone, the British soccer announcer who was calling the game did an incredible job, and I think everyone was so.
Did you ever have see a game end like that with the double plate, the plate?
No, I remember. I almost got it. Was Brian Jordan? Remember he took me out in the playoffs in '99.
Right.
It would have been a home to. It wouldn't have been like that, but I've never seen play like that for a game to end, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But I've seen obviously home to first double plays. Right. But not one where the catcher actually the bat exploded and he picked up the ball and and he got waffled at the end by the runner.
Yeah,
so for him to concentrate and make the play, that was a great play. And since then, I mean, you could grimace obviously is what everyone's talking about, which is cool. But since that game, I think there was a little bit of a turnaround. So hopefully they can take it to the end.
Yeah, and then when July we have the Yankees coming up in Yankee Stadium, and just hope we can, the owners want, really want the best for this team. I think we're heading in the right direction. You interact with the Coens a lot when you're here.
Yeah, no, I saw Alex. We did some really cool community stuff in London.
Right.
Try to spread the game worldwide. And, look, my good friends, the Violas, just won the Stanley Cup for the Florida Panthers. And so congrats to them. But my point is that it takes time. It's not easy.
The first one, right?
Their first one. It's been a long time, but my point is, it takes time. I mean, success is not an accident, and you got to build a culture. And look, I mean, Steve has done some great things, honoring the legacy and the history. Yeah. And winning is difficult. Winning, a lot of things have to come together, and just because money's important, but of course, people are important as well. So you bring in the right people, the right leadership, let them do their jobs, and he's a smart guy. Eventually, we're going to get the Mets back in the World Series and hopefully another ring.
And you'll be the threat of first pitch.
I'm just here. Just give me a glass of wine, and I'll be sitting in the box enjoying all the festivities.
Every time I got one last question. Compare New York, Chicago, and Italian pizza.
Okay, well, Chicago deep dish pizza
Gino's East.
All right. Well, there's a resurgence, or at least a recent, what's the word I'm looking for? A recultural sort of renaissance of what really authentic Italian pizza is. And pizza was invented in the Naples area as a gift to the Queen. It's called Santa Margherita, the original pizza.
I didn't know that.
Yes, and true Neapolitan pizza is not big. Pizza has gone through an evolution in the United States to kind of the big pizza, the square pizza, and then Chicago, the deep dish pizza. Pizza, of course, to the Italians, does not have pineapple on it. So that's number one.
Number what?
Number one. Number two, look, it's very personal. It's like, how do you like your pizza? I mean, I'm more of a traditionalist. I like it with some prosciutto cotto, maybe some funghi, which is some mushrooms, but it's all personal. Since I've been in Italy now, I'm getting a little bit more used to the authentic pizza.
And you're still in the wine business, right?
Yeah, if you could call it that. Yeah. It's a passion, a love. We still have the Italian vodka as well here, so True Vodka. And we're in the car business, so if you need a car, come down and see my brothers and I in Philly. A little bit of a drive, I know, but and it's enemy territory for Mets fans, but we'd love to take care of you.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Jay.
Good catching up with you, man. Thank you, man.